Hey guys, so one of my subscribers who's brand new to 3D printing was hoping for a little bit of advice of just like super basics of Bambu Studio and how to pull in a file and get it printing off the bat. And so I thought I would make y'all a little video because I figured this would be helpful for a lot of people getting into 3D printing and Bambu right now. And so I'm gonna put together just like the super basics of like with pulling in my files and difference between an STL and a 3MF and just the very basic settings that I use, like grid, like infill, things like that. And hopefully it is helpful and at least good enough to kind of get y'all started. So let me know if there's anything else particular y'all want to know, and hopefully it helps. Bye. Alrighty, so opening up Bambu Studio, first you're going to see all of this, which these models are Maker World models that you can just click and open up. These are recently opened projects and models and stuff with your account. If you do not have your account linked and created already, you're going to want to do that over here, make it log in as the instructions show you. But now for getting in and opening a file, just go up here to create a new project, and then you're going to see this big build plate. Then you can go up here to add, and you can add an STL or a 3MF file. So let's go to add. And let's grab a file, the Flexi Nano Manatee. And there he is. He's just going to sit in there like that. And when I pull in an STL file like this, all of my settings over here are not going to change. But if I want to go over and pull in a 3MF, see how you can tell that just the green is the STL, and then the one that actually shows the colored image is the 3MF file. So this holds like the color information if it's a multicolor print, and also like setting information, stuff like that. So let's click on this guy, and it's going to ask you open as a project or import geometry only. Importing the geometry only means that it's going to load in just like the model as well as the colors, but not change this setting information over here. But let's open it as a project, which means it's going to erase this model that we already had to load it in. So do I want to save that? No, I'm good with that. And then now, see how he has little colored eyes? And he's so cute. And now all of these settings are going to be different. But let's go back to standard settings right here. This is when you are brand new to Bambu Studio and you open it, whatever printer you have, it's going to load in these settings for you. So 2.2 first layer, 2.2 layer height. I'm going to be honest, I don't mess with most of this. I don't worry about that. So we're going to go over strength. 15% grid right here with sparse infill. I like to change it to gyroid, because grid can sometimes make it wonky for you. And then I also like to change my percentage to 5 to 10% just to make it a little more cost effective with how much filament I'm using, and also a little bit faster since a lot of stuff I'm test printing. And then over here to wall loops, standard is 2. I keep that at 2. My husband prefers 3 walls for extra strength because the walls are where you're going to get most of your strength. For me personally, I don't touch any of the speeds. If you're having issues with overhangs, make sure you have this little box checked, but standard it comes checked. Support, most of my models, if you're brand new to my Patreon and working with them, you don't need to worry about this. I did that very intentionally because I don't like messing with supports. But if every once in a while I do and I'm feeling really lazy while I'm testing, I will do enable support. And honestly, I usually just do the auto support settings. I have a friend who has a way better video on support settings. I will link y'all to him. Go check him out. The only other setting I ever mess with is sometimes I add a brim. Y'all know I like my emotional support brims, especially before I got these slice work plates. And so when I do that, I will do an outer brim only. I will usually do a width of like 3 or 4 millimeters. And then I will do a brim object gap of like 2 to 2.5. That makes it so that my brims are still helping my object adhere, but they're gonna peel off without fighting it as much. If you're like me and you're lazy and like to save time, I also personally turn off my prime tower. I don't usually print with a prime tower, but a lot of people, it's just personal preference. It is less risk of kind of getting globbiness between your color changes of your nozzle on here, but I have had fine luck with it. It's just personal preference, but you can turn that off. If you're doing multicolored prints, you can also mess with your flushing volumes, all of that, which I don't mess with, and so I'm not the expert on that. But these are just, like I said, the basics to help you get started printing. Another few important ones are click on your model. Up here, you're going to have your scale option. Makes it super easy. Most objects, you want to grab these little blue dots because that is going to scale all of your pieces equally. A lot of these models, especially like flexies and stuff, you don't necessarily want to scale on like just one axis because that may mess with the tolerances and stuff that are modeled into these guys. So grab the blue square and you can scale that up or down and you should be fine. Another thing is up here, this is the rotation. So I like to look at it from above, it's a little bit easier to tell sometimes. So blue, we can turn this guy. The big notches here, if you hover over those, it will show you, it will skip to those notches. It makes it easier for you. Same with all the way around different sides. If you need to slice off a part of your model, which for most models that are already released and published, you hopefully should not have to do this. But like this is what I do with all of my models when I load them in. I like to slice off the bottoms of them to make sure that they are totally flat on the bottom when we're printing. But like I said, hopefully you should not have to worry about that. And then moving your model around, I usually just tap and grab it, move it wherever I want. But if you want to be a little more precise, you also have this button up here. And you can move it with these arrows. So that should be super duper basics just to get you load in a model, get you printing. There are some other basic things I could cover, like, you know, adding negative parts, coloring, things like that, but I'll move that to a different video and just let you focus on this. For now, let me know if there are any other particular things that y'all want to see. You know, like I said, flushing volumes and supports are not my expertise, but we can work on some other things. So hopefully this helps y'all out, and I will talk to you later.